What's going on, guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to take a look back at the PlayStation 4. You know, as this generation comes to an end and PlayStation 5s are now up for pre-order, hopefully you guys were able to secure one, but if not, I'm sure Sony will have plenty available for you guys to, grab one and, enjoy for the holiday season. But I wanted to take a few moments to just take a look back and look at the PlayStation 4, my experience with the console, also highlight some of my favorite games on the console, and just have just a straight up retrospective when it comes to the PlayStation 4. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So I guess I should start off this retrospective by saying that I've always been a PlayStation fan. I remember being 5 and 6 years old, waking up one morning and receiving a PlayStation 1 with a copy of Crash Bandicoot. Now, I said on this channel that I grew up a Sega kid, which is true, but the PlayStation was also in the household as well. And I will say, if it wasn't for the PlayStation, I would not have been introduced to a lot of the genres that I love today. A lot of the franchises that I love to this day was introduced to me via the PlayStation 1 or the PlayStation 2. Games like Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, rhythm games like Parappa the Rapper, and so on and so on. So I would say PlayStation was kind of like that gateway console that got me into all these genres that I love and appreciate today. So I would love to hear you guys' story about the PlayStation. Let me know what was your first PlayStation console, and let me know what games you played on that. I really want to know. Drop them in the comments. So in terms of this generation, the PlayStation 4 definitely had the advantage out the gate. Around this time when the PlayStation 4 was revealed, Microsoft was making their rounds with the Xbox One, and the way that they initially presented the Xbox One did not really resonate with gamers too much. Microsoft really took the strategy of presenting the Xbox One, hence the name, as an all-in-one entertainment hub. It had a lot of cool features. You can plug your cable box into the Xbox One and watch that through there. You had support for all the streaming services, so on and so forth. But they did not really focus on the main thing that people cared about, at least initially, which was the games. So Sony saw that and saw the failure and all the backlash they were getting, and used that to their advantage when they finally revealed pricing and the PlayStation 4. It looks like Sony really focused in on the gamer, and you could see that through their early marketing with the PlayStation 4, and it really worked out for them. And I know a lot of people who were diehard Xbox 360 folks were really looking to get into PlayStation 4 because, like I said, that initial marketing run Microsoft had with the Xbox One did not really resonate even with their fans. So Sony definitely, took off running this generation with the PlayStation 4. So once the PlayStation 4 was released, I had a couple friends who bought it day one, but I kind of waited a little bit. I just wanted to see how the game library was going to shape out, and I eventually bought a PlayStation 4 right when the white Destiny bundle came out. So I had the white PS4 with Destiny 1 bundled in, and to be honest with you, I didn't really care for Destiny 1 too much, but I was just happy to have a PS4 because now I can explore this next generation of games. And that's going to lead us to our next part of the retrospective. I don't want to just talk about the PlayStation 4 from a hardware perspective. I want to use this video to kind of highlight a lot of the games that I love and enjoyed on the PlayStation 4. So hopefully, some of you guys, when you guys get PlayStation 5s eventually, you can look back on this video and see what games that I enjoyed. Hopefully you'll find a new favorite in that. So without further ado, let's kind of talk about the games that I played on this console and my overall thoughts on those. So yeah, let's get into it. All right, so the first game I want to highlight here is The Last of Us Remastered. This was actually the first game that I purchased for my PlayStation 4. And the reason why I purchased this is because I missed out on The Last of Us on PlayStation 3, and I kept hearing how much of a masterpiece this game was. So a quick story about me and the PlayStation 3. I initially, that generation, was content with the Xbox 360. It had everything that I needed, but then Kingdom Hearts Remastered came out on PlayStation 3, and well, that kind of forced me to get one. So I took some time out to kind of buy all the games that I missed out on PS3, but somehow I missed The Last of Us. So I definitely took the opportunity to play it on PlayStation 4 because, it had a higher frame rate, it looked better, it was kind of a showcase of what the PlayStation 4 could potentially do. So yeah, this is my first time experiencing The Last of Us on PlayStation, on the PlayStation 4, and of course I ended up loving it. The story with Joel and Ellie, and them trying to go across country literally to possibly find a cure for this outbreak that's going on. So by this time, if you're a PlayStation fan, you've probably played this game multiple times. But for those of you who are picking up a PlayStation 5, I highly recommend you guys check out The Last of Us. If you haven't played it by now, you are totally missing out. So yeah. Alright, so the next game I want to highlight here is Infamous Second Son. So if you're unfamiliar with the Infamous series, essentially you're running around this open city and you play as a character who has superpowers essentially. And with Infamous Second Son, not only do you have one superpower that you can use, which I believe is called Smoke, which is like a fire-based power, but you also have the Neon power, which makes you super agile and making running through the city extremely fun. Infamous Second Son was one of the standout games for the PS4, at least around the launch period, and I absolutely loved it. I played the hell out of this game. I've done 2 runs where I'm playing good and evil. The only thing I dislike about this game, and some of you guys may agree, was just the characters. So when you had Infamous on the PS3, you know, you played as Cole, but on the PS4, I think you play as Delson. I want to say that's his name. Somebody correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I did not like the character at all. I just did not like his personality. I thought the story was kind of weak in Infamous Second Son. Even with the DLC that added a little bit more content to it, I still thought the story was pretty weak in comparison to the previous 2 games. But in terms of the gameplay, this game is fantastic. So if you guys have not played Infamous Second Son, it's definitely one of the standout games for the PS4 from a gameplay perspective. Let's move on. All right, the next game I want to highlight here is Resogun. If you're not familiar with Resogun, it is a twin stick shooter that is extremely fun. I remember listening to a lot of the IGN podcasts right around the time the PS4 came out, and they had a podcast that was focused on PlayStation only. So I listened to that podcast, and one of the games they kept mentioning was Resogun. So I saw it in the PSN store, and I decided to give it a try, and Resogun is a very fun twin stick arcade style shooter. One thing that stands out about Resogun, the gameplay is really fun, but also the visuals, you know, everything from the particle effects to, you know, the lighting, so on and so forth. So if you're looking for an awesome twin stick shooter, an arcade game to get into, Resogun is a definite pick. All right, the next game I want to highlight is a game called Entwined. I don't know if you guys remember, but I remember at one of the E3 events, Sony revealed this game, and something about this game just instantly caught my attention. I don't know if it's because it's my love for like neon lights and a lot of coloring games, but something about this game just really caught my attention. So when the game came out, it was one of the first games I purchased on the PSN store alongside Resogun, and I remember just really loving this game. So you control like these 2 spirits, these 2 like neon lit spirits, and you use the joysticks, the DualShocks, to kind of control them and kind of line them up perfectly. It's one of those games where you can kind of categorize it as like an experience game, but I will say from a, you know, visually and with the music and overall, it is a beautiful game. So if you're looking for like a quick indie title to get into that has beautiful visuals, Entwined is one of those games I highly recommend. All right, the next game I want to highlight is going to be Uncharted 4. Now, if you guys already know, Naughty Dog is one of Sony's heavy hitters. They are known for bringing the visuals, the stories, just bringing those amazing experiences to the PlayStation platform. I played Uncharted 1, 2, and 3 on the PlayStation 3, and I really loved those, so I was super excited to play Uncharted 4. Uncharted 4 delivers on everything. It delivers with the music, it delivers with, you know, the characterization, it delivers on the gameplay mechanics. So Uncharted 4 is definitely one of the best games on PlayStation 4. So if you have not played any of the Uncharted games at all, I recommend playing the Nathan Drake collection, which can be found on the PlayStation 4. But also, once you finish that, do yourself the favor and just get completely immersed with Uncharted 4. All right, the next game I want to highlight here is a game called Until Dawn. If you are not familiar with this game, it is one of those games where you pick your decisions, and whatever decisions you make throughout the game will kind of alter what story you get. And this game is one of the best games that does it this year. You know, I'm a huge fan of the Telltale games, but this game, alongside the next game I'm going to talk about, is some of the best experiences that you can have on the PlayStation. Like I said, this video is not meant to be a review of these games. I just want to highlight these games and kind of give you guys recommendation and, you know, kind of talk about my favorite games. So I will not spoil any story elements for Until Dawn. Just know that this game is awesome, and if you have the chance to play it, I highly recommend you do. Let's move on to the next game. All right, coming off the heels of Until Dawn, the next game I want to talk about is Detroit Become Human. This is one of the first games that I streamed in its entirety on Twitch. Yo, Detroit Become Human is an amazing, amazing title. I loved every moment of this game's story. It's from a story perspective, this may be up there as one of my favorite games on the PlayStation 4. You know, me being a fan of Marcus, Connor, and Kara, this game was just amazing. I highly recommend that you play this. It's pretty much a commentary on man's relationship with technology. And me being a tech guy and working in the tech industry myself, you know, this story really resonated with me. So if you're a fan of these style of games where your decisions you make alter what happens, Detroit Become Human is one of the best experiences you can have from a story perspective. So buy this game now. All right, the next game I'm going to highlight here is God of War. Yes, this is another heavy hitter on the PlayStation 4, one of the defining games on the PlayStation 4. If you don't know what God of War is, well, you've been living under a rock, but God of War got its start on the PlayStation 2. The third game came out originally on the PS3, got a port to PS4, and now we have, you know, essentially what I would consider a reboot of the series. God of War, it definitely changes the gameplay. The original 3 God of War games were more like hack and slash, like fast-paced action games, where this game is slower, more methodical, but the combat is still intact, but it adds more exploration into the mix. It definitely has a much stronger story, you know, you following Kratos and his son. It is one of those shining stars on the PlayStation 4, and I highly recommend when you guys get a PS5, or even if you still have a PS4, play this game. If you have not played this game, you are missing out 100%. Let's move on. All right, the next game I have on my list that I want to highlight is a game that was exclusive to PlayStation 4 for a long time, but is no longer exclusive. Now you can play it on PC and Xbox One, but it is going to be Yakuza 0. So Yakuza has always been a series I've been super curious about. Number one, it's made by Sega, and you guys know how I feel about Sega. But also, I always heard it was like the spiritual successor to the Shenmue series that was on Dreamcast and Xbox, and I was a fan of those games. So when it came out on PS2 initially, you know, I did not get a chance to play it. So when I heard that they were coming out with like a prequel game and kind of like a reboot for the series, I instantly got interested and went ahead and paid full price for it, and boy was I in for an amazing story. Yo, this game is fantastic when it comes to storytelling. The gameplay is kind of like a 3D beat 'em up, but the story is what really kind of stood out for me, and I feel like Yakuza 0, from what I played of the Yakuza series, is definitely the strongest story, or have the strongest narrative in my opinion. On the PlayStation, you can get all 6 Yakuza games. They have Yakuza 0, Kiwami 1 and 2, you know, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I definitely recommend, like, if you're looking to get into the Yakuza series, start with 0. I had so much fun playing through this game. Let's move on. All right, the next game I want to highlight is Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1 and 2. Now, I know these games are not exclusive to PlayStation. They're also available on Xbox One, and the second game being available on Switch as well. But I had to talk about Xenoverse because this was a game I put a lot of time in on the PlayStation. So when it comes to Dragon Ball games or Dragon Ball Z games, you know, for the long time, I feel like the stories have been like super repetitive. You know, the last Dragon Ball Z game I played was probably Tenkaichi 3 on the PS2. But after that, you know, I just stopped caring for the video games as a whole. You know, I feel like with Raging Blast and Ultimate Tenkaichi on the later gen consoles, you know, they were just kind of recycling the same story that we all know and love, right? But with Xenoverse, when I saw the initial trailer for it, it was just something very different about it. Not only can you create your own character, which is something I've always wanted to do, but it seemed like they were taking a more open approach and bringing an online community into it as well. And from a story perspective, you know, you're just pretty much a time patroller and you're stopping, you know, certain events from happening. But one thing I will also say about Xenoverse is the community is super strong for Xenoverse, even to this day. Fun fact, you know, Xenoverse 2 was the game that pushed me to the affiliate status on Twitch. So if it wasn't for Xenoverse 2, you know, I probably wouldn't have became an affiliate and, you know, all that fun stuff. So Dragon Ball Xenoverse is a game that series is a series I put many hours into. And if you guys are into Dragon Ball Z and you know, want to try something out, give Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, pick that up. It's available on Switch and PS4, so definitely give it a try. You may like it. Let's move on. All right, so the next game I want to highlight here is, of course, Hatsune Miku Project Diva X. You know, I could not make a PS4 highlight list without mentioning Project Diva X. As you guys know, this game is one of those games that just really shocked me in terms of how much I liked it. You know, this game was a review request from a viewer, and I was a little skeptical because, you know, I knew about Miku, but not enough to really want to invest into a game. But I said, you know what? I had some extra money left over. Let's just go ahead and buy it. It was on sale as well. Sony was running one of those big in Japan sales, and I guess Project Diva X was like, I want to say it was like 20 bucks. So I went ahead and grabbed it, and boy, did I get addicted. This game is so fun. As you see, I've done 2 reviews on Miku already, one for Mega Mix and one for Project Diva X. And I would say the Miku games are so fun. If you guys are open to it, and I recommend that you guys, when you play these games, you have an open mind, Miku is one of the, as far as fun factor goes, one of the best experiences I've had on a PlayStation 4. If you don't know, Miku is a rhythm game. You essentially just push the buttons on screen, you know, with the correct timing, and that is how you play the game. So yeah, I definitely recommend, you know, Project Diva. And also, I believe on PS4, if you have a PS4 VR, they have the Hatsune Miku VR experience, and you can also get a Future Tone as well, which is, I think, is like a collection of all the different songs. So definitely check out one of the Miku games on PS4. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Let's move on. All right, now we're going back to the heavy hitter territory with Spider-Man PS4. So Spider-Man PS4, I mean, this game goes without saying. This is definitely one of the best experiences on PlayStation, not only from a visual standpoint, but also from a gameplay standpoint. You know, me being a huge fan of Batman Arkham City, when I saw that Insomniac Games was making a Spider-Man game with similar gameplay mechanics, I was already sold. I remember the initial trailer for this at one of the E3s and just being so excited to play this game. So I bought it day one, and yeah, this game did not disappoint. You're swinging around a beautiful recreation of New York City. You're fighting crime, you're beating up bosses, you're doing side quests. This game is fantastic. So if you're a fan of Arkham City, or you're just a fan of like superhero games in general, definitely give Spider-Man PS4 a try. This game also has DLC, different costumes to wear throughout the game. So yeah, this game is jam-packed with content. So I highly recommend you guys give this game a shot. All right, the next game I have on my list is the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy and Nitro Fueled. So, you know, if you grew up with the PlayStation 1 like me, Crash Bandicoot was more than likely in your collection. And I know I played a lot of Crash 2, a lot of Crash 3, and even more Crash Team Racing growing up. So when they said they were going to re-release these games and remake them from the ground up, you best believe I was super excited to revisit this. So yeah, of course, Crash Bandicoot 1, 2, and 3 for the Insane Trilogy, and of course Nitro Fuel, which is a remake of Crash Team Racing with a little bit of the Nitro Kart stuff thrown in there as well. The reason why I put this on the list, even though it is multi-platform, I can't play Crash on any other platform. And that's just me, because I grew up with Crash originally being on PlayStation only. So to me, when I was able to play the Insane Trilogy and have that muscle memory, it was so fun. So I'm definitely putting Crash Bandicoot on this list. If you haven't played any of the original Crash games, now is your chance to do it. Please do. But if you don't have a PS4, you can always play this on Xbox or the Switch. So let's move on. All right, how can I mention Crash Bandicoot without mentioning Spyro the Dragon? You know, Spyro the Dragon was another franchise that I played a lot as a kid. Actually, I have fond memories of Spyro 1, 2, and even 3. You know, when they re-released the Spyro trilogy, you know, after the Crash trilogy, I was just as excited, if not more, because, you know, I do prefer the gameplay of Spyro over Crash, even though they're not really the same type of game. I mean, yeah, they're both platformers, but Spyro has always been kind of like an open world collectathon, where Crash has been more linear. But you know, Spyro is an amazing franchise. Spyro 2 is definitely one of my favorite games of all time, and I've 100%ed that game so many times. It's just a fun time. So if you never played a Spyro game, pick up the Reignited trilogy. You can find it on all platforms, but just like Crash, I would feel weird playing this game on any other platform besides PlayStation, because growing up, Spyro was PlayStation only, and I had so much fun with that. So yeah, Spyro Reignited is on the list. Make sure you guys give that game a shot. The next game I want to highlight here is another PlayStation OG, which is Ratchet & Clank. So just like Spyro and Crash for the PS1, I played so much Ratchet & Clank on the PS2. You know, while all my friends were talking about Jak and Daxter and other games, Ratchet & Clank is what did it for me. I remember playing the first game on the PS2 and really loving it, and then of course going commando, up your arsenal, Deadlocked, and all those games. Ratchet & Clank was a constant franchise I always followed up on, because I just love the personality the game had, the different weapons, the upgrade system, the bosses. The game was just pure fun. Of course, it's made by Insomniac Games, the same developer of Spyro and Spider-Man, so you know you're going to get a good time. And with Ratchet & Clank on the PS4, it is essentially a tie-in game to the movie, which honestly is just a remake of the first game. So if you never played Ratchet & Clank 1 on the PS2, this is definitely the definitive version. It has the upgrade system, the same gameplay. It is a great time. So definitely, if you never played a Ratchet & Clank game, you always been curious, pick this game up. It is amazing. All right, the next game I want to highlight is Gravity Rush 1 and 2. I feel like the Gravity Rush series is is severely underrated, and not a lot of people that I've talked to have actually played this game. You know, Gravity Rush was one of those games that always looked interesting. I remember it being one of the champion games for the PS Vita. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to own a PS Vita, so I never got a chance to play it. But when they announced Gravity Rush 1 Remastered was coming to the PS4, I used it as an opportunity to grab the game, and boy, did I love it. Now, I tried to play Gravity Rush 1 on Twitch, but a lot of my viewers were complaining how they got motion sickness when they watched me play it, so this game may not be for you if you're really sensitive to that type of thing. And of course, Gravity Rush 2, I did reviews on both games, and if you want to check those out, they're going to be on my channel. But I also played Gravity Rush 2, which I thought was even better than Gravity Rush 1. So Gravity Rush is such a good game. If you have not played it, it is one of those underrated gems on the PlayStation 4, and I highly recommend you guys check it out. Let's move on. All right, the last game I want to highlight, and certainly not the least, is The Last of Us 2. This game, to me, is the perfect swan song for the console. This game is absolutely stunning. Like, this is pretty much Naughty Dog pulling all the stops here. They're pulling all the CPU and GPU power out of this machine and just giving you the best looking game I've seen on the platform. Last of Us 2 fixed everything I had wrong with The Last of Us 1 in terms of the combat. The combat is super engaging. They added a lot of different mechanics here. It's super tense. Like, if you guys watched me play The Last of Us 2 on Twitch, you know, you saw my reactions to a lot of things that happened in The Last of Us 2. So not only is the combat amazing, the story is fantastic. Like, Last of Us 2 I feel like is a miles better game than The Last of Us 1. So if you have not played The Last of Us game, start off with The Last of Us Remaster and then work your way to Last of Us 2, and I promise you will not be disappointed. Alright guys, that's going to wrap up my retrospective for the PlayStation 4. Again, the PlayStation 4 is an amazing console, and I'm sure for many people, this console is going to go down as one of their favorite consoles of all time. It definitely deliver on tons of experiences that are pretty much unforgettable. You know, games like Last of Us 2, games like Yakuza 0, games like Uncharted 4, God of War, games of that nature, and I am super excited for you guys who are getting PlayStation 5s and finally get to experience a lot of these games for the first time. So with that being said, guys, I am out. Don't forget to drop a comment down below. Let me know what are some of your favorite titles on the PlayStation 4. Let me know what games you recommend, what games should I add to my backlog, all that fun stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a wonderful day.